Discussing one of the topics that we returned to a couple of times so far in this show, which is whether or not we should be vaccinating children as part of our big booster rollout. But meanwhile, data on the government website shows an increase in the number of people developing myocarditis and pericarditis after the Pfizer, BioNTech and Moderna vaccines. Though rare, around 1 in 10,000, these heart conditions have a large impact on people's lives nonetheless. Well, joining me now is international ballroom dancer Max Harrison, who developed pericarditis after his second Pfizer dose. He actually joins me in the studio now. Thank you very, very much for coming in.
No worries.
How are you?
I'm OK. I'm getting it slowly but surely.
Just explain to our viewers a little bit about what that actually is.
So essentially, after my second vaccination, after 4 or 5 days, I started getting small pains in my heart area region. And by the 7th and 8th, it was getting so bad, I was having these attacks whereby I actually had to go to hospital because I couldn't breathe. And what we've seen in the last 2.5 months, essentially, is that I have developed pericarditis, which top cardiologists in the country do believe is from the vaccination.
So, gosh, so what does that mean in a practical sense day-to-day for you now, then? Do you have to take medication for it, or I don't know how it works?
No, I'm not currently on medication, but what we are trying to slowly decipher is how bad and how much this affects my day-to-day life going forward. I've got stress tests coming up. I've got an MRI tomorrow to determine how bad the pericarditis is. Being a dancer, I can't dance anymore, completely off any physical exercise, and they reckon that's going to be between 8 to 12 months to properly and deal with this issue.
So you basically can't get your heart rate up at all, pretty much?
Well, it's a case of, yeah, you're right. I can't make sure that my heart rate is accelerated because when I do that, there's an increased risk that I can have one of these attacks. And when I have one of these attacks, I can nearly lose consciousness, become sick, and just have a very genuinely unpleasant experience.
Would you recommend the vaccine, then?
I am pro-choice and I'm pro-vaccine. I think it's for people to have the decision as to whether they should have the vaccine. But that's the issue for me when we're looking at come January, potentially, the issue of mandatory vaccinations happening. I think there needs to be a greater national conversation about vaccines. I think that the chief medical officers should have a very honest conversation with people that actually, yes, there is a chance you may have, however rare and small it is, that you said earlier, 1 in 10,000, that the people can induce an adverse effect from the vaccine. And that, to me, is something that's really important going forward.
Yeah, I think so entirely. And I think, you know, if these things exist, yes, OK, it's rare, but there should be more of a highlight of that, shouldn't there, really, I think? No,
absolutely. There should be open information about this, and actually it feels very much so that this is behind closed doors. You know, I'm having to go to the top cardiologist in the country to even be able to tell that this is actually what's happening. Originally, when I was going to hospital, they thought, look, this could be anxiety attacks, which I've never had experience with before. And so at the NHS level, it's a case of they don't really have the data on it. But I'm sure when I talk to the top cardiologist that I'm talking to, this is a much bigger problem. And
some people are just dismissed as conspiracy theorists, aren't they, when they talk about this kind of stuff? And that doesn't exactly enhance debate, does it?
No, it doesn't enhance debate, but the proof is in the pudding. And this is fully confirmed now that I developed pericarditis from the vaccine. And I'm sure that the mainstream media and big tech don't particularly want this conversation even happening. But going forward, I think if the government want any credibility and any assurances, giving that assurance to people that the vaccine is safe, they have to have this honest conversation with people, which they're currently not having.
Look, thank you very much. It's Max Harrison there, international ballroom dancer. Really appreciate you coming into the studio, and good luck. Hopefully you do get back on the ballroom soon.
So do I.